everywhere I've looked online, and pretty much my own experience with this kind of wheel hub bearing combined, is they last about 80 to 100,000 miles, and this truck actually just hit 180,000 miles, so it's due. What up, y'all? Jason from JTV Life, trying to get an early start today before that killer Florida summer heat comes. As you've been following the channel, you know I just picked up this Silverado about a month ago. I'm gonna do a video on it. That way, if you guys are in the truck market, maybe you could consider this as one of the trucks you'd go for, and I'll kind of tell you why I went with it. But overall, it's a pretty clean truck, but one problem with it. And this is like the Achilles heel to a lot of these vehicles. It's those damn front wheel hubs that kind of combine the hub and the bearing together. Even on a 2x4 model, it still runs kind of like a 4x4 style hub, just without the spline fitting for the CV axle to go through. So we got to take everything off to get to these things. The part doesn't come until tomorrow. I'll leave a link in the description below to the part I bought. There's a bunch of different brands and places you can buy them. The local auto parts store sells Moog, which I remember back in the day kind of being like a aftermarket off-roady kind of suspension brand, but I've been out of the game for a little bit and I just really don't know. And nowadays I'm a little bit more cost conscious than I am sort of clout or some sort of like perceived quality that a part may have, because let's face it, this truck has 180,000 miles on it. Realistically, if I could get another 40,000 miles out of it in the next 5 years, it's not a primary vehicle, I'll be very happy with that. So if I can significantly reduce the cost of this repair, that would be to my advantage. The cost of the wheel hubs for this thing, they range anywhere between 100 a piece to 400 a piece. So of course you know which ones I got. The ones where I got a 2-pack, both front, driver's side and passenger, for $100 each. It came out to like $198 or something like that with the shipping and tax and everything. Like I said, I'll put that link in the description below, as well as some links to Amazon too if you want to check that out, because you'll definitely get them a little bit faster with Amazon. I did have to wait about a week for this. They should be showing up tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday, today's Wednesday, but it's kind of overcasted, so I'm gonna take advantage of sort of this nice weather, you know, as we call it here in Florida in the summer, and sort of get this all prepped up so that way we can just slap them on. Pretty straightforward. Car just had new brakes put on, so I'm thinking that they'll be easy to get off because they're not going to be as rusted and stuff, because they literally have maybe 400, 500 miles on them, so they should just slide right off. First line of business, and probably like the most important for your safety, is getting this big truck up off the ground. I just use the factory jack. I don't really have a big jack anymore. I thought I was out of the jacking days. I guess I'm back, so I just have a small one that'll get that Monte Carlo up. It doesn't even get high enough to lift this thing off the ground because the ground clearance is almost 10 inches on it. So let's go ahead and get this in. There's a nice little jacking point kind of right at the front of the frame, and this thing gets it up high enough off the ground to get the wheel off, which is really all you need for this. So you could just do one of these if you wanted to. I'm just gonna replace them both because one's probably happening right after the other. And also, if you get both of your wheels off the ground, it'll be a lot easier with your hand to sort of turn the steering rack and access the bolts behind the brake calipers and the bolts for the hub assembly that we need to get to. Little things on the side of the bottle jack are actually wheel chucks. And they make it so you have to take them off before you can even use the jack, I guess, to force you to use them, which is pretty cool. You are gonna need this little thing right here with this hook in it, because that's going to go in to the jack and lock in where this green thing is. And then you simply just turn it and it goes up. I like to get her kind of spun up before I put it under there, so that way it's pretty close to the frame before I really start cranking. And we only really want to get this up as high as we need to get the wheel out from the car, okay? We don't want to go any higher than we have to, especially with a big heavy vehicle like this. Always make sure that you secure your vehicle up on some jack stands. It's a nice thing to do before you get the wheel off, because you never know, you might have to go up a little bit or a little down to get that jack stand in there. What we gotta do is take off this cover. It's held on by 8 22 mil. And these are just plastic, so you don't want to go too hard on these. This just holds like a little hubcap on. All right, now we're gonna take the rest off with this impact. The tires on this thing are stupid heavy. I'd say they probably weigh, probably 70 pounds each, easy. And sometimes I wish I wasn't so curious. 85.5 pounds. All right, so we pretty much have exposed the brakes. I'm gonna go ahead and hit this with some brake cleaner. There's a lot of bad chemicals in brakes, guys. Brake cleaner don't think of it as trying to clean the brakes as much as it is just a hose all of this asbestos, dust, and stuff out of here, so that way you're not breathing it in when you're working on it. I've seen a lot of guys doing this job on YouTube, and basically what they do is they just take the whole caliper bracket off and everything. Instead of taking the caliper off the bracket, then the bracket sort of off lower control arm, or whatever you want to call it that it's on. So I'm gonna go ahead and try that. Let's see if it works. Ooh, a little hard, but doable. Wasn't really sure if I was gonna yank the truck off that little jack doing that, but it's a 21 mil. I can reach it with the impact gun, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that because I only got the one side up right now. I'm gonna see if I can do it with just the one side because I don't really feel too confident in my jack situation, and I'm sure a lot of you guys trying to get this done by yourself probably don't have a bunch of jacks and stuff, so let's just roll with what the car came with. That was easy. Big ass bolt. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to be prepared for this caliper to be sort of freestanding, because it's not going to be on anything. I'm going to kind of put together a couple of zip ties. That way we can just zip tie it to this upper control arm. All right, guys, got that caliper out of the way, and I gotta say, I don't know if you've ever had the pleasure of working on a car in Florida, but it is OSHA break time. It's about, I don't know, 8:15 in the morning, getting lit up by mosquitoes. You know, it's time to take a break in Florida when you're doing yard work and you can't even walk because your sandals are so slippery because your feet are sweating so bad. Wow, that OSHA break turned into a union break. It just felt so good to get a dry shirt on, and plus I forgot Wednesday's ground flower day at my pharmacy. So I also swung by Harbor Freight, and I decided I am going to jack the other side of the car up.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
Because it will just be so much easier to get to the back of those hubs. So pick this up. I'm going to do a separate video on it so we don't slow this one down, but Harbor Freight, check it out. Once you get your wheels back on, make sure you get them torqued all the way. I just get them as tight as I can with my hand, and I go for a short drive. I went to the beach, caught an awesome sunset, and then torqued them to 140 with my torque wrench. That project wrapped up about 30 minutes before the sun went down last night. I'll tell you what, I did regret doing the whole take the caliper and the caliper mounting bracket off in one piece. That was not a good move because the parts on this vehicle are so heavy that you're going to be wrestling something even heavier than just the caliper to hang it. And then I got into like a 20-minute wrestling match trying to get the pads properly into their clips, and everything slipped back over. It just wasn't worth it because when it came time to do the driver's side, I did the whole thing wheel on to wheel back on in 30 minutes. And about 12 minutes of that was spent with the wiring harness, the last clip, because I couldn't get it to lock in. It was definitely the driver's side one that was shot. I mean, just looking at them, it looked older. Of course, the passenger side was the first one I did. I was doing them both regardless, but you could feel it turning and grinding a little bit. One thing I noticed on the way to the beach that I'm super excited for, and it's only 35 miles an hour out there, and I hit mostly lights. It's only like a mile from my house, so it was basically like city traffic, and I was getting 13.8 miles to the gallon. This thing was getting like 10 on the highway before, so I will report back on this, but incredible. I mean, it might just sound like, oh, like a 2 or 3 or 4 mile per gallon increase, but that's literally like a 50-60% increase, so it's wild. Thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. I hope this did help you out. Anybody new, please like the channel, subscribe. I put out videos every once in a while, all kinds of random topics, just tinkering around the house. Well, thanks a lot, guys. I'll see you next time.